So we're gonna play a little Karen Ziemba music while I freak out and figure out where the hell she is. Okay, so let's play, something, this is a song called When You Said You Love Me. Let us hear Karen Ziemba.
Said you love me, all sorrow goes away. Like a swan, I soar high, I fly. Good morning. Hold my hands tight, my heart sings through the night, all the stars shine brightly, and the moon turns within me. Can we keep this magic moment? Can we keep this magic moment? Can we go where time stands still?
Oh, time is standing still, and we have a magical moment, ladies and gentlemen, because we have the best mom ever talking to the best rabbi ever. And where did you, first of all, this is the wonderful, the delightful, the lovely Karen Ziemba. Where did you get the literal Jewish star?
Okay, I brought this out for you, just for you. My good friend Mesh Goldish, who is avid. Do you know Mesh?
No, but what a name!
Oh, he's an avid theater goer, and we met many, many years ago when he came out to the whole theater in Montclair, New Jersey to see And the World Goes Round before it came to off Broadway, and we became friends, and he became a fan too, and wonderful guy. And he asked his friends to bring this back from Israel. And I had it on my door during Bullets Over Broadway.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't it beautiful? I just love it.
So what is it? Is it literally like your name, Karen Ziemba?
I believe it is.
Did they Yiddishize it or no? So it's literally, I can see the Karen Ziemba. Yeah, no, it's literally,
yeah.
As opposed to you're having a Jewish name, which I assume are you Greek? What are you?
Actually, Ziemba is Polish.
Oh.
Ziemba is a bullfinch, a small, colorful bird.
Well, which you are.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a compliment, but a small, colorful bird is Karen Ziemba, Tony-winning actress.
When I moved to New York City, my father was German-speaking because where he was from, it was occupied by Germany for many years, so he spoke German, but my name is Polish, and so when I moved to New York City is when I learned a few Polish words and a lot of good Polish food in the East Village. But the Polish people that I met taught me how to say it, Ziemba, say it correctly in Polish. And then later when I was like looking up, like, what is it? What does my name mean? Because names mean something. They always come from something, son of or whatever. And it's and Polish people would say, oh, it's a bird. It's some kind of bird. And so I finally looked up. It's a bullfinch. So. And bullfinches are beautiful, red-breasted. The males are red-breasted. They're beautiful.
I'm sure you're not more related to Zumba, like the dance thing, like all the oh, I mean, it's just a thought.
That has gotten, yeah, that's happened before too. I remember I was going to rehearsal somewhere, and it said Zumba classes upstairs, and somebody was going up the stairs, goes, oh, look, Zumba? And they pointed, I said, no, that's me. I thought they were talking about me. I'm here. I'm on my way.
By the way, you look wonderful. We have a woman here in the room, even though we should have a curtain between us, but there is a female in there, and she says, oh, your hair looks amazing. Your hair looks wonderful. So
yeah, I've got naturally curly hair. So, yeah.
So when, and I'm sure you answered this a million times, so answer it 1,000,001. When did you realize when you were a kid that you had to sing and dance and act and do the whole thing?
Well, I was competing with my 3 brothers for attention, so, and no, that's part of it. But my grandmother, Winifred Height, she sang with New York City Center Opera, so it didn't go to my mom's generation, my mom, who's her daughter, but my mother loved musicals and loved music and dance and wanted to do that herself. And she had a family, a big family instead, but she gave that to me. I was the only girl in the family, so that went to me. And so I just took to it like a duck to water. And I would turn on these great soundtracks and cast albums that I had that my father used to listen to on the big hi-fi.
Like, which was your, when you were a kid, which was the cast album that you wanted to listen to more than
anything? Goodness. I loved Oliver. I played every single one of those urchins. Of course, you know, anything Julie Andrews, Mary Martin, Gwen Verdon. We listened, and then we also listened to a lot of Henry Mancini because he did the soundtracks to all the, the Pink Panther, and we would make up, my brothers and I would make up scenarios, and we'd go around looking like,
I did that with Zulu. No, I did that with Zulu and the Zeta. To do the Lou Gossett Jr. role. It didn't always go too well, but I tried for that one. So
a lot of music.
Did you do shows in like high school? Were you a theater person? So
yes, I had danced all my life, so I was big into ballet and tap and things like that. But in my high school, they needed a Maria in West Side Story who could do her own dream ballet because there were no ballet, no major dancers in the high school. So I played Maria and also did my own dream ballet. So there was no dream Maria. I did it all.
Well, let me ask, ballet was your focus for a long time. Did you have to sort of do a click in your brain or sort of say, I'm not going to be the next Lichahova, whatever the hell her name is. But Broadway might have some roles for me. Was that a big change for you?
I don't think I thought of it that way, but it was, being a ballet dancer is a very different kind of track than, or I should say, trajectory than, being a musical theater. First of all, you're an artist in both. However, being a ballet dancer is something that is just, I guess I just didn't have, first of all, I didn't have the body for it. I was never really skinny. I was, I had the grace, but as far as like the extension and the feet, I was okay. And it was the most incredible training that I could have to go into the musical theater because it grounds you. So I think anyone who wants to be in the theater, even if you're not a dancer, should take a little ballet because it helps you enter a stage. Enter a theater, and fill up a house because it gives you poise, it gives you portamento, as they call it. They really you're able to, give of your body and from very deep within, open your arms and give it all back. So it was a great training to have, but I just didn't have it in me to continue to be able to tell stories without talking or doing pratfalls or doing.
And also, in some ways, you're lucky because he'd probably be crippled now if you consider the way they have to stand on the toes. And still, even dancing on Broadway, the life of a Broadway dancer, if you can't act or sing, by the time you're 33, Broadway's pretty much through with you. So you at least figured out, hey, I better have other skills.
And the dancing now, it's just so fast and difficult and crazy and wonderful to see, but it's become very cinematic. And it's like those kids are busting their.
How do you mean cinematic? That's an interesting
well, it's because people's, the way they stage things, it's like there's something going on. Like even in Hamilton, for example, which is just, I think, brilliant. The dancers are moving all the time. If there's somebody alone on stage singing a solo or doing a duet, they get a little bit of a break, but there's still always somebody in the background moving. There's something going on. It's like the frame of the picture, the way Andy Blankenbuehler staged that piece so beautifully. Anyway, it's those guys really work their buns. And then they're changing costumes, 10 times a night along with it, really quickly in the week. It's a lot. It's
actually, it also occurs to me as someone who's still a dancer, and still a singer and a vocalist.
Well, thank you.
What have people, what have your colleagues and you been doing in terms, because most people who are on Broadway, whether in the chorus or have moved higher to the level that you are, they go to dance class 2 or 3 times a week. They take vocal. How are you? But you can't go to a dance class for the past 9 months. What do they do?
I know. I'm friends with Tyler Peck from the New York City Ballet because we did a musical together, and she teaches classes on virtually every day, and she has to dance, and she goes out into the park and she'll dance. You have to keep your technique going, especially that, because you'll lose all those muscles, so small muscles that literally hold up your body and allow you to jump and leap and balance. It's, myself, with what I do now, it's, I do yoga, I do certain stretches, just walking and swimming when I can get, and now we are allowed to go swimming at the Y where I belong, but for a long time we weren't, and it was scary.
I'm sure at the Y it's like 20 parts chlorine to 1 drop water. It's just,
That's right.
It's safe, it's good. You get the red eyes, but you won't get the COVID.
The lanes are different. Oh. It's you just got to do what you have to do. But luckily for me, I can go into a room and I can sing and I can keep those muscles going as much as possible. But even that, you're used to getting together with your coaches and with your vocal teachers, and you're really working it out. And we have not been able to do that. Everything's been shut down. It's difficult.
I have a question from the gallery. What's the question?
Do the neighbors benefit from free Broadway shows?
Are you like Brian Stokes Mitchell? Do you pull open the window and start singing "Somewhere Over There"? No, or not? No.
Well, in this room that I'm with you right now, my windows are open, so I'm sure that they can hear us talking, and they do hear me singing sometimes. I think he was doing it for the whole neighborhood, though. We live in the same neighborhood. I know exactly where he was. Right, he was hanging right over the corner of Broadway and up in the West 90s, and he's got like I think kind of a Juliet balcony sort of thing in his apartment. He's able to do that.
But over the past 9 months or so, since you are a theater, you've done some TV, you've done some, but essentially you're a theater creature. Right. So I know you're doing a reading. We'll talk about that very shortly. But what have you done over the past 9 months besides being a world's best mom and just a New York doing yoga at home, and swimming?
Well, the first job that I had that I was supposed to do the new year, 2020, I read audiobooks for Simon & Schuster, and I had this one author that I do each year, J.A. Jance, and she's an incredible, prolific writer in women's contemporary fiction. And so I was ready to do that, but there was no, I go into the studio to do that, and there was no more going into the studio, not going to Simon & Schuster on 6th Avenue and 49th Street. It's okay, so it's you got to buy the microphone, you got to make your little studio in a closet, you've got to make it soundproof. There was a lot more of a learning curve to this technical world that we're living in now as performers and as or readers of books. So I just had to jump on the train, and it was daunting for me because I'm not a technical person at all. But you sort of have to learn, and you have to be willing to make a lot of mistakes and listen to people that can help you. So I did. So that was one job that I actually did get paid for in 2020 was that audiobook.
I can't even listen now to the audition tape I sent in to read 50 Shades of Grey. They never got back to me. It's oh, tie me up now. Very sad. I think Gilbert Guthrie got it. But
I did that, and I've done I did a virtual musical for TheaterWorks USA, which is a youth theater organization, as I'm sure you've heard of.
They're not new. They've been around for
right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did I say new?
I thought it sounded like new.
Yes, and that's called Quarantine, and and I play a Bobby whose granddaughter is and I'm a former showbiz gal, and my granddaughter wants to put on a virtual musical because everything's shut down, and so she gets her friends together. So we're all kind of in that, and that was very cute. Kids from all over the country were part of it. This family from Chicago, a family from LA, from New York, and it all seemed as if we were in the same place because it was done virtually. And what else? I worked on a show with Susan Stroman and John Kander. So we'll see what happens with that. They're probably going to show that virtually to some
Can
investors.
you mention anything about it?
No, I think we'll wait. I think I'll wait on that one.
All right.
But it's always wonderful to get together with them again, and that was a great group of people too. But that was a couple of weeks of rehearsal every day and filming and taping, and like I said, it's a very different world.
Well, you gotta see that one of the things that I love hearing from our guests is, they work with so-and-so, they work with this person, they know this famous, Hal Prince. So maybe give us a nice Susan Stroman story, because you worked with her, on Contact, you worked with her on a couple of Crazy for You, I think also. Yeah, so, no, that was Okrent. Wait, no. Was Crazy for You her?
Yes, she and Mike Okrent directed it, and she choreographed it. That was their first foray together, and then they became husband and wife. They worked on, of course, producers, and they started working on the producers, and then he unfortunately passed of leukemia, and then she took over with Mel Brooks, and she made that a big hit.
So, but tell us,
Well, Susan Stroman, I just remember when we first started out, she asks you to do very risky choreography and try some really crazy things. And I had not worked with her before. I was youngish at the time, and I remember she asked me to do something in Arthur in the Afternoon, which was this very sexy, titillating number. And I said, no, I can't do that. I can't do it. She goes, Casey, just try it. Just try it. I said, I don't think that's right. No, believe me, the audience is going to love it. They're going to laugh. It's going to be a great, of course she was right. But I just learned through her, you got to try it at least 2 or 3 times. And then if it doesn't work out, you can, let it evolve and maybe try something else. But you always say yes with her. That's anytime you can. There's certain things, of course, that it's like, there's certain things, you might not do, but when it comes to choreography or comes to trying something in a scene, you got it for the director. You at least have to try, or the choreographer.
Absolutely. For me,
my leg doesn't go that high. Okay, they'll figure it out. But I learned to say yes more and take more risks and just be open to things, because sometimes you're surprised at how well it works and how much you can do and how you can stretch yourself. So
that's a wonderful story about.
Yes, she does that. She does that. She makes people take chances.
Now, you were also in, I think your most recent Broadway production was Prince of Broadway, the Hal Prince show. Wow. So, and he was still alive. He put that together. He did this tribute to himself before he died. So
yes.
You can tell, since he's dead, you can tell a nice story or a not nice story about Hal Prince. Pick one, but tell me something about Hal Prince.
Gosh, he's the one who had all the great stories. He could tell a story like the drop of a hat, and he worked with everybody. And I just remember what I loved working with him on the most was the song "So What" from Cabaret that Frau Schneider sings, that La Vilaine.
So who cares? So what? Yeah.
Yes, originated, and he talked about La Vilaine, and I'm reading her a biography on her right now. And she was a fascinating lady from Austria, and just the way he would talk about her, is sort of like I just sort of then she inhabited me in some way. And of course, we don't look anything alike, but it doesn't matter. It was just the way he would talk about her and the way he talked about her abandon and this incredible humor she had mixed with the anger and everything that was going on in her mind as that character, and her life that she brought to it. And I just took a hold of that. And I just remember him talking about, he would just swing his arms, and Lana would just go for it. And so I just allowed myself to do that too. And I was like, oh my God, of course, this is totally works for this song. And I just loved it when he would tell the stories about the people that he'd worked with through the years. But I was so fortunate to get a chance to be part of his troupe before he left this earth.
See, I just have a little lanyard, but it's nice that you had a lot of lanyard. I'm sorry. I apologize. Really, I apologize for that. But here's the deal. What people if there's one kind of team that people associate Karen Ziemba with, Karen Ziemba being you, it's Kander and Ebb, or at least now John Kander. What is it? Is there some reason you think that more perhaps than anybody else, you've solidified with them and you're known for their stuff? You know, and the world goes round and Steel Pier and, you know,
Right. I think it's just you become part of the family, which happens a lot in the theater and in a lot of the performing arts. People like working with their extended family and the people that step up to the plate and work as a team, but also not only do they get the job done, but they also are fun to be with and don't, you know, it's life's too short to deal with those who are always going, no, 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 you know. And like I said before, you just have to be able to jump in there. But everybody loves John Kander. I mean, talk about a gift.
Well, how is he? How's he doing? I mean, I've never met the man.
Doing great. He's doing great, and he never stops working on something new. And I think, not unlike Hal Prince, he was like, okay, what are we going to work on now? Okay, that show is here. That show opened. It did well or it didn't. What are we doing tomorrow? What am I working on now? And that's what keeps him thriving. So.
Yeah, that's you know, I hesitate to say it, but he would know it's a Jewish thing. Like you spend all year reading the Torah, you finish, you get to the very last word, and what do? Right, you start over again that second. You go right back to chapter 1. It puts all of us in therapy. But there's something about that in that nature and that character is like, finished. No, I can't just stop. I've got to work. I got to go back to and start all over again.
Sure.
It's in our nature, I think. Speaking of building something from the beginning, is it true? And I've sometimes felt this when I've been performing, that you build when you get into shoes, like a real actual pair of shoes, that sort of creates the character for you in a way.
It helps. Because it puts you on a certain level. They feel tight. They look a certain way. I would say all of the clothes, though, the stockings,
when I wear stockings, I totally feel different.
Stockings into shoes. And also, if you're doing a period piece, sometimes you're wearing a girdle, or you're wearing garters, or stuff that women wore at a certain time, or you're very confined in a corset.
It's good for my prostate, I'll tell you, when I wear it.
It explains a lot, though. It informs a lot, I should say. The weight of things on you, or the lightness, depending on, you know, what you're doing. So the last thing I did, the last big musical on stage I did with Susan Stroman was a production called Little Dancer, which was about Degas and his muse, Marie van Gertem, who was the model for the Little Dancer sculpture by Degas. And I played the mother, and I'm a laundress, and the skirt that I had to wear was this kind of heavy, almost burlap-y thing, and everything else on top was kind of very light because we're working in a steam-filled, you know, basements in Montmartre. But it did something too. There's a weight to it. There is a heaviness, not only to the character, but to the actual devices that you were wearing, and the tightness and of the waist, and the heavy black boots that you wore. I wore.
It does. Like without the glasses and the yarmulke and this, I almost look like the host of this program. It's very strange. And I put those on and I feel more rabbinical.
Were you always a comedian?
I'm a man of the cloth. Very chintzy cloth, but what can you do? Let me ask you though, and hate to be a downer, but let's think of an upper sort of upper, like pill talk here. No, but you were in Chicago,
yes.
Right? You must have worked with, you've sung with, you've danced with Anne Reinking,
yes,
whom we lost this week. 71 years old, nothing wrong with her. What the hell? But
yes,
tell us some Anne Reinking memories, some Anne Reinking stories.
Well, Annie Reinking choreographed, of course, this last revival of Chicago, which has been running for years and years and years. And I replaced in the role that she had played, Roxy Hart. And for me, it was the first time I played that sort of that kind of character. And so it took me a while. It was a learning curve for me over the few months before I came to Broadway. I did it on the road for a few months, and then came in and played opposite Bebe Neuwirth as Velma. And I remember Annie coming in to see it and giving me some notes about it, because she had played the role, but she didn't get the chance to really direct me, because Walter Bobby was the director. She was the choreographer. But later, when she would give me some tips or some pointers, I was like, oh, it made a lot more sense to me. Not only because what she said, the images that she gave me really helped me, but also because I had been playing the role already for a few months. So I was sort of getting into it, but I was then I had like a springboard to take off from. And she gave me some image, I remember, about Roxy, saying she's like the girl that wants to go to the prom, and they're saying, no, you can't do it. She goes, yes, I am going to go. She was like a child. She was like this woman child. And I thought, okay. And she says, don't think about anybody else, because I was worried about something that was going on with some of the other characters on the stage that was, I thought, pulling focus or something. She says, don't worry about them. Worry about yourself. And she said, that's all Roxy cares about anyway. So it was a very good image for me to take off from at that point. And I think it really soared after that. And so I think she had a lot of great experience from playing the role herself, but just the way, the stories that Fosse would tell and the direction he gave, that was all part of who she was, because she was his muse, one of his muses.
Did you have a muse or an idol, either growing up or even later in your career? Was there somebody that you're like, oh, could have been Anne Reinking, could have been Stroh, could have been...
Well, I did love Anne Reinking. I remember seeing her in Dancin' on Broadway. I was in college then, and we came for a trip to New York, and I saw her dance, and then I was like, holy wow.
You use the word, yeah, right.
She was unique, yeah. And she was like, like a panther, kind of, just when she would move and the way she would look at the audience. She had these animalistic qualities, and yet such poise and technique. She was pretty phenomenal. But of course, Gwen Verdon, I loved, and used to dance around the living room to that Sweet Charity, LP until it had deep grooves in it. The Cy Coleman music was just also so jazzy and wonderful. But I loved her. I love Shirley MacLaine, Judy Garland. I mean, we're talking about the movies too, music movies and stuff. So there is not any one in particular, and I loved Angela Lansbury. There's just so many.
All right, that's fine. That's perfectly wonderful. But anyone, it sounds like also some people kind of took you under their wing a little bit. When you were on a particular show, a director's going to give you this and a choreographer's going to tell you that. Was there anyone that you kind of had going for years, no matter what show you're on, that was kind of in your corner?
Oh, well, definitely definitely Susan Stroman, Scott Ellis, and John Kander, and they did a lot of shows together. So I was in that camp, and then we're doing it again. We're still at it. We're still here, as they say, as Stephen Sondheim would say.
Now, speaking of being still here, I do want to tell we haven't gotten to this yet, but you are, as you said, you've done some readings, you've done the thing for TheaterWorks USA, but now you're going to be doing, I think it's a one-time benefit reading of a musical that starred Danny Kaye back in the day, all about, I love this, it's biblical, it's Noah and the Ark. Tell us about this show.
Well, of course, it's about Noah's family. I play Esther, his wife, and it's all about our relationships with our kids and what we're going to do when God sends this flood to cover the earth, and how we're going to save our family and all the animals 2 by 2. And right. But Esther also wants all her sons and daughters to be 2 by 2 also, coming on the ark. And so there's that part of it that, you know, mom's saying, come on, find yourself a nice girl, find yourself a nice boy. No, I want this done before I go.
Did you see the original? Did you see?
No, I didn't. My parents did because they had season tickets to the Fisher in Detroit, where I'm from, outside of Detroit. So every once in a while, my dad would take me like on a birthday to a show down there, but they saw everything. And a lot of things started out of town at the Fisher, at that Nederlander Theater back in the day.
Yeah.
So they saw a lot of pre-Broadway tries, and I think that was one of them, unless it was on tour after it was on Broadway. I can't remember which direction it was in, but they got to see Danny Kaye and playing Noah.
Yeah. I mean, there's whole books written about how he wasn't always on his best behavior during that show. He wasn't happy with it. Did they revise it? Did they use are using the old Peter Stone book, or did they do work on it?
I mean, there might be a couple things that sort of move a little ahead a little bit sooner. They maybe cut a few bars of music out because we're not actually dancing on screen. Some of the dance music and stuff like that, and possibly some of the lyrics, but it's pretty much the same thing. Walter Willison has added a song, however, that was written for the piece at one point that was cut, called You Couldn't Please Me More, which is a lovely song. So Richard Rodgers too, his style of music, his style of composition, and it's pretty.
Oh, good. Okay.
So
By the way, if you're still casting, if you need a lemur.
But he added that to the end of the show when he sings to Esther.
Oh, very, very nice. So, by the way, when is this? How do people watch it? And I assume it's a benefit. So
yes, it's a benefit for the Actors Fund, one of my favorite charities, and it will be on Christmas night, the night of I think 8:00 EST on Christmas night, the 25th of December. And it will be
and people can go to the Actors Fund website to watch it and to donate.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not sure all the different platforms that it's going to be playing on. I believe it, it will be shown then, I think, for a few days, maybe on YouTube, Facebook, how they do that. But definitely that night, Christmas night, the 25th.
Can I ask you how it's going to work if you have a duet? Because if you're in one room and they're across town, and even doing this program, there's like a delay between when I'm talking to you and when people are watching.
That's technical magic.
Yeah.
What happens is you sing in your space to the music track that you listen to, and you send that video of yourself singing that, and then somebody else sings their video singing to that same track, and then the engineers do the magic and they sync them together, and they put the two talking heads, as it were, or the two faces or two bodies on the screen together. And they'll do maybe one shot of me singing, then maybe Noah singing, then us singing together, depending on how it's going to be interesting to see how they put it together. I haven't seen it yet.
So it's pre-recorded. You're not going to be doing it live.
Right. Yeah, it all has to be like a film, has to be your shots, their shots, put them together, singing together, syncing them up. But yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot to it.
Well, there's still so much more, speaking of a lot, to ask KAREN ZIEMBA, who is with us in the neighborhood. So let me ask you your all-time favorite role.
Oh, my goodness.
Was it the abused wife in Contact? Was it, right? No, I want to put words in your mouth. It might be something it might have been Never Gonna Dance, or still, you tell me.
There's something you get out of every role you play, and whether the show's a hit or whether the show's not as successful. And a lot of it has to do with just all the other people that you're working with on stage and the story that you tell. But I have to say, of course, the roles that were created for me, Steel Pier and Contact, they are in a totally different category because it was created from me and from some, helped by somebody else. They wrote the story. I brought the character to life. But I have to say that one of my most favorite roles in shows that I ever did was I did a production of 110 in the Shade, written by N. Richard Nash, originally The Rainmaker. We did it with New York City Opera in the early 90s. And when you're doing that
And you were Lizzie. You were
I was
the main.
Lizzie, and
Yeah.
you do that show, tell that story on that stage at the time it was not called the Coke Theater. It was I think it was just called
It
the
was
New
a
York
Pepsi
City
theater, I
Theater.
think. Yeah.
And with that full orchestra and the people that were in that cast that played my brothers, and it was just magical. Tom Jones, Harvey Schmidt score, and orchestrations by Hershey K, who'd written some of the great with the.
Can't get a better Jewish name than Hershey. I went through that, yeah. So let me tell you, and you don't have to name them.
Wonderful. It was pretty wonderful, and I came from my own family of many brothers, and so I understood her. But the music, I think that's one of their greatest scores. It's just beautiful, and it's a very heartwarming story, and it's about somebody feeling like an outsider or somebody who's never going to find love, and she does. And I just.
Did you ever identify that or feel like that, or you just had a fairly smooth path in terms of career and life? And because you're got, yeah.
Well, sure, you never feel pretty enough. You never feel you're going to find love. And you do, and somebody thinks you're pretty. But yeah, I think we all go through that self-doubt, but wonderful things can happen when you meet the right person.
And how did you meet your right person?
How did in my real life or
yes.
Many years ago, I did a show at Equity Library Theater, which was on the Upper West Side in the Masters Theater on 103rd and Riverside, and George Wachacha, who was the producer, used to, they would do 3 shows a year. They did not pay the actors, but you got your lunch, and I think you got, I don't know how they worked it out, but you were.
Probably a subway token or two, something like that, yeah.
Yes, and they would do revivals of musicals and plays. And I did a revival of the musical Seesaw, speaking of Cy Coleman. And I met my husband. He played the Ken Howard role in that show, and I was just in the chorus, but the chorus had a lot to do, and we just hooked up, and we've been together ever since.
Mit Mazel, how many years? Come on, how many years are we talking here?
36.
Mit Mazel, mit Klick. That's double high in my people speak. And you have kids?
Yes, I have stepkids. Yes.
Oh, okay. So are any of them? Did you encourage or discourage? Do they have any artistic leanings at all? Or by the time you knew them, they were
well,
what?
Yes and no. They very much love the theater, but no, they're not performers themselves. They leave that for
and for mama and for papa. So let me ask you. I said you don't have to name names, but what was your hell experience? Like, what's the worst experience you ever had? I saw your eyes go like in a terrible, evil way there. Oh, I love it. Share.
People ask me questions like, who would you never want to work with again? Well, it's a short list, but there is a list. It doesn't mean you'd never work with them again. It's like you wouldn't want to work with them again, but just because of people that suck all the air out of the room or don't do the work that they need to do to help everybody else in the cast, but are only thinking of themselves. So those people I don't want to have anything to do with, but sometimes because you happen to be cast in the same show, you just got to deal with it. You got to suck it up and try to stay away from them as much as you can.
That's why if they're alive, you don't have to name names. But
I was dancing with someone who wasn't doing the choreography and kind of scaring me a little bit, and I just had it. And so as we parted on stage, I started like speaking loudly on stage, like you're the, and so you could hear me sort of like bursting out or kind of having this light nervous breakdown on stage. We finally, as we exited, I started like pounding out, you are the worst, you are so unprofessional, you are the biggest blah, blah. I mean, on and on and on, and I just sort of lost it.
So it wasn't like you were through a character and it had nothing to do with the dance, nothing to do with the character. You just, oh my goodness.
Yes. So we finally got that settled, but it's what happens when you don't speak up, when something is going awry and you say, listen, I need you. we need to get together on this, or it's not going to work. And you can't do that. You can't do that kind of stuff on stage, or you can't not be there for me, because I'm going to be there for you. I need you to be there for me. But because I just didn't say anything for the longest time, and finally I just went, wah! You can't hold it in.
Well, what happened the next night? Or matinee? What happened?
It was chilly. It was very chilly.
But it had to be said. Did you, and since we're dwelling in the negative momentarily, did you ever have any Me Too issues? Did you ever, as a female, as a pretty dancer kind of female in the business?
I'm so fortunate. I didn't. I think most that was saved for the really, really pretty, gorgeous gals were a little bit more hit on than I was. Nobody, I mean, people took a shine to me, but nobody ever.
Well, flirting is not an offense.
Right.
Flirting is a nice thing, usually.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate that didn't come my way. I wasn't asked to, have a late night dinner or, come to my apartment and we'll work on the scene kind of thing. No, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I feel for people that had to go through that or felt that they needed to do that to up their game, so to speak. Yes.
Well, let me ask you, totally different question, totally different tack. You've been a member of the unions for a very long time. How do you feel that the unions have been handling, since they were fighting with each other for the first part of the pandemic, and now it looks like they might even merge or something? I mean, should they have fixed this months ago, or was it impossible to, in terms of people getting recompense for?
I think they've been talking about it for a long time, but until, as we say, that hits the fan, sometimes things don't get done, as we know. I mean, it's like the pandemic itself. It's like, okay, we're going to keep this under wraps until hits the fan, and then sometimes it's boom. It's like we were talking about, like I was just talking about. It's like keeping all these feelings buried, and it's like it has nowhere else to go. So, and then you get in trouble. So maybe it's the Me Too movement. It's like, why did it take so long for this stuff to happen? Now all the stuff is being unveiled. All these different people that have had these, like, sexual sex trafficking rings, and these, it's insidious.
Yes.
So these things that happen for a reason, and maybe they happen in the time they're supposed to happen. It's usually because the bridge is broken and it needs to be mended, or it needs to be thought of in a different way. And I'm so glad that they are now more on the same page.
Absolutely.
Because we cross over so much.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and you're filming things, and I think Hamilton broke the dam in terms of,
yes.
You can show it on I mean, even Chicago, the movie broke the dam. People are like, what, they're going to make the movie? They're going to close the Broadway show. Who's going to go to see Chicago on Broadway if they're going to go see it in the theater? Guess what? Right. It both worked. It was fine. So I think there's a future in that. Now, speaking of the future, I want to invite you, and I hope you will stay to play our trivia game. You don't have to, but we would love to have you play the trivia game opposite two theater critics. And it's all kinds of trivia, not just theater trivia. It's all sorts of trivia. If you want to stick around, because I have to go, and my producer friend Dave, he wants to get back and start doing the program. But can I invite you to stick around for a little while to play the game?
Sure. Okay.
Great. This is
probably quite a lot of difficult questions. I'll be like, like that.
It's right. But Dave, he's insulting, but not terribly. You get used to him. No, I'm kidding. Don't be afraid. Last question though, for the life of the wonderful Karen Ziemba that you can watch in 2x2 for a benefit for the Actors Fund. Go to their website. It's happening Christmas. I don't even like saying that word, but Christmas, December 25th in the evening, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Go look for it. But Karen Ziemba, let me ask you one more. Is there a role out there, musical or otherwise, that you want to get a chance to play someday?
It's always the new role, of course, but I still would like to do a production of Follies. before.
Oh.
I was supposed to do a production in San Francisco this past year, and of course it was scrapped because for obvious reasons. And it's one of those shows, is as problematic as it may be. There's something about playing those characters and singing that music that just is a turn on to me. I look forward to that.
Oh, I would love to see. Which character would you want to do?
I was supposed to play Sally Plummer.
Wow, yeah. Oh.
And
I hope that comes. Yeah. May that come true. May many more things come true for you. May you stay healthy. May you stay incredibly busy. And just give us so much more of the wonderful work you do, Karen Ziemba. Nobody go away. Karen, don't go away.
All right, don't go away.
Nobody's coming. We're going to play it. In fact, you're going to hear yourself.
Can I get some more Java?
Well, go get a little coffee because we're going to play some of you. Oh. She's going to be in 2 by 2. Let's hear her in 2 of me.
2 of me. Why must I see 2 of me? The young girl I used to be, so wonderfully fair. 2 of me, the young girl I used to be. The old woman staring back at me that I cannot bear. Why answer questions? Why stir up the mind? Why talk of torments that I left behind? Why wander down hallways, cornered by pain? Why bring up sorrows that I can't explain? Rage is a razor that cuts through stone. Why in God's name can't you leave me alone? 2 of me. Why must she keep haunting me? The young girl I used to be, that I was before. 2 of me, the woman I used to be, the young wife he used to see, that he did adore. Once I had a lover who loved only me. I once had a lover whose love set me free. I once had a lover.
Good morning.
Love kept me young.
Hello, I'm just hello. Getting on my bicycle. I just broke my light, knocked it on the floor.
Okay, we're gonna pop down the music. Yeah. Well,
That's Karen Ziemba.
Hi.
Yes, that is Karen Ziemba.
Is that Karen Ziemba?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. My God.
Hi,
I'm Leslie Hoban Blake. How lovely to meet you. I'm so sorry. I screwed everything up completely. Oh,
that never happens with you, Leslie. No, but welcome to you, Leslie. Thank you. You look great. You look a lot of people with really nice hairstyles today. Very, very nice. Leslie Hoban Blake. Now, what do you do? You're an archivist. Is it for the Art Critic Circle? What's your official?
No, I'm the historian of the drama desk. But close. If you kind of mush that together, it comes out the same.
Official historian. Sorry,
Karen, I'm so embarrassed. I do apologize. I just.
About what?
About interrupting. I was mopping up coffee on the floor and I spilled my coffee. I broke my light.
I did the same thing when I came on today. He was playing a song and I started talking. He said,
yeah, but that was your song. I had no, I'm so sorry. And I didn't even know where it was coming from because I was down on the floor. I couldn't see what was happening.
Well, anyway, welcome. And by the way, the other person in the room is our beloved David Sheward. Speaking of the drama desk.
Hi.
So you know Karen. You must have known.
We've met, yes.
Yeah.
And see what's in the background.
How clever of him.
Yes.
How clever of you to do that.
That's great.
You all look great.
What did I just see your name attached to, Karen? You're doing something this weekend, aren't you?
Leslie doesn't get a chance to watch the show.
2x2 on Christmas Day, 2x2. Yes, we're doing a virtual reading of the musical.
That's the old Danny Kaye. That's the old Danny
Yes,
Kaye musical.
1970.
We saw that. We loved
Really?
that. Yeah. Well, he was not a nice man, though. He was very difficult
That's what I hear.
to be around. Yes. I mean, I only had one experience, but it was enough.
Oh, well, do you have a quick, can you tell?
It was long before I was a critic. No, I was just a fan.
Right,
And we
no,
were
but you have a bad
standing
story about
outside
Danny Kaye?
Yeah, of course I was a fan of
Oh,
Danny Kaye. I
hell,
was
hell,
not
hell.
a fan of Danny
No,
Kaye.
no,
I mean,
you have a bad story about Danny Kaye.
oh, yeah, but it's not like we did an interview and he was terrible to me or anything. I wasn't writing in those days, but I was a fan and I was standing outside the theater with my little playbill and my crayon in my hand or whatever.
Yeah.
And not only did he not sign, he basically said, "Out of the way, peasants," literally. I mean, he had a car waiting and it was like, "Would you get out of my way, please? Would you just get out of my way?" And it was like so unlike anything I had ever seen. David, back up a little bit. You're kind of like on top of yourself there. But
I'm flexible that way.
I was horrified because it was the first time I'd ever had any,
Well,
you didn't
Karen,
expect
how were you
that.
on doing that? Like having to be after a show and stand outside and sign autographs in all kinds of weather. Were you always happy to do it, or were there times where like?
No, I had about 2 or 3 years, and then unfortunately, when my
That's
son
over
was
Karen.
little,
Karen,
I'm so
Remember we have
sorry.
Karen Ziemba with us? Yeah.
It's all about me, Karen. I'm so sorry.
Well, you're trying to finish your story about what it feels like when you do something like that, when you wait. And it's not always easy, as you said, like the postal service, in rain or snow or sleet or hail, you sign those souvenir programs. But nowadays, or pre-COVID, the theaters really got it together where they would have the fences up where people would like go down the line and sign. So if you were in the front there and you waited, you got the chance to have your program signed. And most cast members are pretty good about doing stuff like that. But there's usually some kind of a security guard at the door that can keep things at bay, when people get a little bit too handsy or want to like jump on top of somebody. When you're talking about big celebrities and stars that are now in shows, it can get dicey because people feel that they own the person. I think it scares them a little bit. But in my case, I was lucky nobody ever tried to do anything too demonstrative.
Yeah.
So I was always glad to sign. And I know that we had a security guard during curtains because of David Hyde Pierce. And he was always so lovely to everybody. He's such a wonderful, he's like, I call him an alien because he's like a Buddha. He's just the most generous, kind, gifted human, one of anyway, I can't say enough great things about him. But he really set the tone, and everybody signed. If he could do it, we could do it, right?
Well, or we all try anyway. And by the way, Karen, I just want to tell you that this is sort of controlled chaos. It's a quiz, but you've got like four
I
different
think she may have realized that by now.
She knows already. But it's a fun kind of thing, just in fun. There's no prizes. There's no budget, as you can see.
Karen, you're going to play with us? Oh.
He asked me to stay, and I thought, this must be interesting.
It should be interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
you guys are so much more, you're historians. You're so much more learned and know so much more trivia than I do. But I could,
That's what she thinks.
No, they're very smart. They're very smart. Yeah, Dave.
David is pointing over his head.
To be heard. Yeah.
I'm just pointing because Karen's autograph is on this poster.
Oh, speaking of autographs.
From when we did a Drama Desk panel for Steel Pier. And it was Karen and Deborah Monk and was it John was there also? Daniel McDonald was there.
Oh, yes.
And we had the set. I think we had a little. We had Tony Walton. Tony Walton was the set designer, wasn't he? He was there too. We had a little model of the set. He explained it, and a couple of interesting things happened in the background that almost led to a bad situation there with June Havoc. Fortunately, it was avoided.
Yes, right.
Yes.
No, you can't just leave it. What?
Yes,
Well,
on, David.
The
Yes.
drama desk member who is no longer with us was originally supposed to organize this. And this was a person who is not with us anymore, gave sort of the drama desk a bad name, and we allowed him to organize the panel. And originally he was going to have everyone in the cast of, it was about dance marathons in the 1930s. And he contacted June Havoc, who is in real life, the baby June in Gypsy. And she was part of dance marathons in the 30s. And she'd written a play called
Marathon 33,
which was on Broadway in 1964 with Julie Harris. And I got a call from the press agent who said, "You can't allow this to happen. It'll be a train wreck." June Havoc is furious at the creators of Steel Pier because she's accusing them of stealing her idea. That I wrote a play about a dance marathon, you stole my idea about a dance marathon. And it was like, I had to call the member and tell him, "You effed up, you are not in charge of this anymore." And I hosted it and everything was fine. And he had to call June Havoc and disinvite her. But that was on him.
That person's initials weren't GL by any chance, were they?
I don't even remember, but no,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, you said no longer with us, so I thought
no
maybe
longer
that.
with us. He's not with us, and that's a whole other story, which will.
No, not for now, not for now. But that should happen, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, this is. By the way, you're watching Dave's Gone By. It's just about 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. I'm joined by my darling and adorable wife Joyce, and of course, Potato is with us. And we are doing our Today Yesterday quiz with very, very special guest Karen Ziemba, plus our usual special guests, David Sheward and Leslie Hoban Blake. Now, I will explain for Karen the chaos that will ensue and the rules that will ensue.
Also, wait, tell her that most guests get 0.
Yeah, a lot of our guests, and by the way, Karen, never feel bad. People who do this for the first time.
You're assuming you're not going to know anything, Karen. That's very bad, you know.
It's to tell her that
I assume she's gonna ace David and me off the screen. You
It
know,
could
that's
very
what
well
I
happen.
assume.
So there are 10 questions in total. Now, the first thing I will ask you all to do, and I will give Karen the first shot at this, since she is the guest, could you kindly pick a number between 2 and 12?
And do I say it out loud?
Yes. Yeah, just tell us what it is.
No, you make David guess it.
7.
Good. So Karen picks 7, and then ladies first, Leslie. What is your choice of?
6. That's what I always take.
Okay. And David Sheward, can you?
I
pick a
don't
number
remember
between
going up to 12 before. I thought it was only 6, but I'll say 11.
11.
wow.
Usually I do 6, but okay, 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our virtual roll a dice
You gotta
thing.
roll 2 die.
I do have to roll 2 die. And we only do this once, Karen. It's not, roll dice, come on. Let's do it. Hold on. Dice roller, random.org. Come on.
That's what it's
Here we go.
called, random.org.
And the number that came up, oh my gosh, Karen, you got it in 1, which means the number came up 7. So we roll virtual dice. So you get to choose whether you want to go first, second, or third.
Now you're going to ask us each a different question.
Well,
Right.
yeah, we have 10 questions lined up in order. So you can either answer the first question, and then we'll come around. Everybody gets three questions.
Okay, I'll go first.
So Karen will go first.
Smart move.
And now I'm going to roll the next die. I'm going to roll again. And we have 7 again. You can't go twice, Karen. So we're going to go. It just came up 7 again.
Oh my god.
This is,
You think
you should
broke
get
it?
that today.
If we were in Las Vegas, we would be rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd be arrested for loaded dice. That's what would happen.
Right. I guess it's my
Well,
day, huh?
This next roll was loaded in David's favor because it came up 12. You were
Okay.
closest with 11. So do you want to go second or third?
I will go second.
Okay, David Sheward goes second. Leslie goes third. That's all for now for just the die thing. Okay, now I will ask you one more time to pick a number between between 2 and 6. 2 and 6.
Myself.
Karen, can you go first? Yeah.
4.
Okay, Karen is going with a 4. And I know, and this goes fast. David, you get to choose second. So what number would you like?
Karen chose 4. I'll choose 5.
David chooses 5. And Leslie, are you going with your usual 6?
Indeed, thank you.
Okay, Leslie's going with 6. So, all right, but what did I do? Oh, that will come in handy later. So we're not going to do anything with that now. But just in case someone misses a question, what happens is each question is worth 2 points. If you get it right, you get 2 points. If you get it wrong, no loss. But one of the other 2 people gets to steal the question for their 2 points. And depending on the roll of the die, that's who says who gets the next question, okay? So we can actually begin.
No, have you explained to Karen what the concept behind the questions is?
Oh, thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Just so you know, it's called Today, Yesterday. Since today is December 19th, every one of these questions is based on something that happened in history on December 19th.
Huh.
It could be December 19th, 1800, 1900, 1500, et cetera, and so forth. Okay. But they're trivia questions. Some of them are multiple choice. Some of them are not. Are you guys?
Stop copying me.
What?
I said, stop copying me.
What do we mean?
Going up and down and sideways on the
I was
screen.
just, I had my battery, I want to make sure my battery is charged. So I'm just plugging it in. I'm getting closer, getting closer to the outlet. That's all.
Good. Well, we all need an outlet here and there. So the first person who has chosen to go is Karen. So Karen, our first question is for you on our Today, Yesterday quiz. The year 1686.
Oh, God.
Yes, you remember it well. Which was a big day for Robinson Crusoe as he leaves his tropical island to return to England. Now, Robinson Crusoe and Mole Flanders are the 2 most famous novels by Daniel Defoe. Which of these is not one of Defoe's lesser known works? And this is a multiple choice. Was it Major Henry, Colonel Jack, Captain Singleton, Roxana? I'll read the question again. So on this date, fictionally, Robinson Crusoe left his tropical island to return to England. So Robinson Crusoe and Mole Flanders, both written by Daniel Defoe or Defoe. Which of these is not a lesser known Daniel Defoe work? Was it A, Major Henry, B, Colonel Jack, C, Captain Singleton, or D, Roxana?
I'll say the Jack. Well, whoever Jack is. The
Colonel Jack. So that's
Jack.
Colonel Jack is the first answer given by Karen Ziemba. And I'm afraid we're never going to dance with that answer. That is not the correct answer to the question. So we now get a chance for either Leslie or David to steal. So I'm going to roll the die again. Here we go. Just have to pull that down.
Well, I had 5.
You had 5. So I just have to, why isn't it rolling? Here we go. Here we go. And the number that we came up with is 4, which is closer to David's 5 and Leslie's 6. So David, sure, you get a chance to steal. Do you need me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
Sure. Okay, on this date is when Robinson Crusoe left his tropical island to return to England. Robinson Crusoe and Mole Flanders are books by Daniel Defoe.
Yeah.
Which of these is not a book by Daniel Defoe? Was it A, Major Henry, B, Colonel Jack, D, Captain Singleton, or D, Roxana?
Okay, so Karen guessed, was it Captain Jack?
No, he won't get you high tonight. She guessed Colonel Jack. That was not
Colonel Jack.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
He actually wrote Colonel Jack.
All right, so there is a minor novel called Colonel Jack. And I think there is one called Roxana. For some reason, I think so. But maybe somebody else wrote it, but I can't go there. All right, that'll drive me crazy. Okay, so I think that Roxana is a novel. I think it exists. So Colonel Jack, Roxana, and the other 2 were?
Well, Captain Singleton.
Captain Singleton.
And Major Henry.
And Major Henry and Lieutenant Irving, right? Okay.
Right, yeah, Lieutenant Maish. Yeah.
Was that a song? What did Fanny Brice sing in that was in the movie, the stage version of Funny Girl, but not the movie? Private Schwartz.
Bum, 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 bum.
The name is Private Schwartz. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll say Singleton.
You're going to say Captain Singleton. Is that your final answer, David Sheward?
Captain Singleton.
I'm afraid Singleton is doubly disappointing, so that is not the correct answer. Leslie Hoban Blake, you get to steal for 2 points. Do you know whether the answer, did Daniel Defoe write Major Henry or sorry, did he not write Major Henry or Roxana? Forgive me, did he not write Major Henry or Roxana?
That's a stupid question. Those both exist. It's just a question of whether he wrote them or you just, that's not part of the thing. That's what David was going down that rabbit hole. I know. Okay. Good question. Good position to be in. I mean, this doesn't really require anything from me except stealing. I don't really know the answer.
And you have a 50-50 chance.
I know. Thank you. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Here we go. I'm going to say he did not write Roxana.
Okay. Final answer?
Sure.
Ooh, we're hitting some hard rocks today. That is not he. The one fake book was Major Henry. Colonel Jack, Captain Singleton, and Roxana, but Major Henry does not. I made that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right.
You feel good, Karen. We're all on an even playing field.
And now the next question, though, does go to our second contestant, David Sheward.
Okay.
The year, and not the musical, but the year 1776.
Okay.
These are the times that try men's souls. Oh, he knows it already. That famous line begins an essay in a pamphlet series titled American Crisis. Name the author.
Thomas Paine.
Wow.
Is that your final answer?
You waited too long.
Is there multiple choice?
No, there's no multiple choice.
Okay. Yes. Thomas Paine, there was a play called Citizen Tom Paine that was a big hit off Broadway in the 60s.
Oh.
Directed by Tom O'Horgan, who later did Hair and Jesus Christ Superstar.
Wow, cool. So yeah. By the way, Karen, David Stewart knows a lot about the theater.
Yeah. And then there was also that play Tom Paine recently, that other Tom Paine that had nothing to do with Thomas.
That was a terrible.
That had nothing to do with Thomas.
Yeah.
Remember? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you went for that one instead of, the obvious.
Were they both spelled P-A-I-N-E?
Yes.
Yeah. One was Tom Paine, something about nothing.
Yeah,
and
Tom Paine, parentheses, based on nothing, close parentheses.
Based on nothing, right.
Oh, God. But anyway.
And had nothing to do with the original revolutionary.
It had nothing to do with anything. It was.
Well, it said it was based on nothing. He told the truth,
Well, it was well enough for me. Well enough for me.
Oh, willing now. It's willing now.
Anyway, and now, by the way, was that your final answer?
My final answer is Thomas.
Oh, it's painful to say
it.
Correct, David Sheward. Yes.
Okay.
Tom Paine. David Sheward gets 2 points. He's the first person with points on the board. Well done.
Thank you.
Leslie, now you get to try and tie David Sheward with your question in the Today Yesterday quiz. The year 1843. Okay, so on this date, published today, December 19th, 1843, at the author's own expense, was Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. The first edition of the book was well received, but pricey to produce. So Dickens didn't make the profit that he expected. To the nearest 1,000, so multiple choice, how many copies was the initial print run of A Christmas Carol? And
Is it a multiple choice, or you just want me to give you an answer?
Well, no, there's a multiple choice. Was it 1,000 copies, 5,000 copies, 10,000 copies, 20,000 copies?
You want it to the nearest 1,000.
To the nearest 1,000. I'll read the question.
believe, given my propensity for the number 6, I believe it was 6,000. So 5 would be the closest. We just did a whole thing on Christmas Carol on our show, so
Huh. Well, so are you going to just go with that answer?
I'm going to go with that answer.
So your answer is the closest one would be 5,000.
5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Get that big turkey in the window. Send the boy for it. Not only were you right about it being closer to 5,000, it was literally 6,000 copies. So Man,
again, and by the way, please watch Jefferson May's Christmas Carol.
Oh, is it
It's
great?
an
Is it?
astonishing piece of work. It may not be the best Christmas Carol you've ever seen, but it's an astonishing piece of work.
Ah.
Have you seen it yet, David?
Not yet, no.
And
Okay.
I haven't either. I really like the carol that they did last year on Broadway.
I
with-
love that. That was actually my favorite show of last year.
With
When I
him.
went over everything to pick a best, it was a truly theatrical piece of work. No projections,
Yep.
just anything that you could do on a stage and anything that you might have been able to do at the time of the show. It was amazing.
I
I
had
was
sausages in the baskets. I was very excited about that because I was right
yes.
near
Well,
the,
they
like,
were
the
the
stage.
Yeah.
the papier-mâché sausages. But
And
did you see
Anyway.
the show, Karen? It was Campbell Scott.
No, I
was-
didn't.
Yeah,
very-
it was,
very good. It was-
and it was the show that was just done in London.
Mm.
When they opened the stage for 3 seconds and then they closed it again, and the guy playing Ebenezer gave this impassioned speech from the stage 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago when this happened, saying, stop doing this to us, stop jerking us around, or whatever the English equivalent of jerking us around is. Let us do what we do, or not, but don't, open us and close us and open us and close us.
Got
So
it. Yeah.
I believe that the term is jerking us about is how the English jerking us about. But by the way, the first run of just so you know, you were right, Leslie. And what happened was the first 6,000 copies of Christmas Carol were bound in red cloth with gilt-edged pages, and it cost so much. It sold out, but he still didn't make the profit that he thought because it cost so much to make them. But anyway, yeah.
it was one of his, it was really a novella. It really is a 90-minute piece. Whenever you see a movie that runs 2 hours, it's just because it's inflated with all sorts of excess stuff.
And
When
music
Jefferson Mays
numbers.
does the whole story, he does it in 90 minutes. But what I was going to say is, it was too short for him to do what he always did, like with Dickett, with some of the other. I can't come up with the.
Oscar Wilde, he played Wilde.
David Copperfield, for example, was done in serialized. He would serialize things, and they would be sold a week at a time, and he would make a lot of money that way.
Mm.
Because even though they were little penny dreadfuls, everybody could afford a penny. So many more people would buy them than when they were books. But this was too short for that. It was really a novella. It wouldn't have been more than 2 episodes and it didn't pay for them to do. The printers didn't want to do that.
Cool.
I'm sorry, Karen. We do this. You have to forgive us. I'm
This
sorry.
is the part of the show.
We're pedantic.
You guys know so much, but these questions are these are erudite questions. This is
I tell him he does wonderful questions.
Roxy Hart and it's not like
Right.
This next question, which will go to Karen, is not quite so erudite. Maybe not. As I said, a lot of people who just join have never played the game before. They're like, ooh, and they get 0 points or 2 points. It happens. It's just in fun. So Karen, this one is for you.
Okay.
We go to 1918. Speaking of epidemical years, 1918, a cartoon about sports titled Champs and Chumps debuted in the New York Globe newspaper. Within a year, its title was changed by the author because his research started moving well beyond the world of sports. What was the name of the new column? And by the way, I'll give you a hint. Although the creator died in 1949, the syndicated feature continues to this day. Okay, I'll read it again.
Champs and Chumps.
Founded in 1918, it was a cartoon about sports called Champs and Chumps that debuted in the New York Globe. Within a year, the author changed the title to what we know it as now because his research started moving well beyond the world of sports. What was this new name of the column that has continued on well past the author's passing in 1949?
So this is a cartoon.
Yes, started as and stayed and still is in one iteration a cartoon.
I'm just going to give a wild guess. I don't even know because I don't read comics, but I was going to say Gasoline Alley. I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hope you don't feel foolish, but it is not, I'm afraid, Gasoline Alley. So we get a chance to steal from one of our 2 other contestants. We're going to roll that die. And the die comes up the number 3, which puts it just a little bit closer to David. So David, you get a chance to steal the question about the cartoon Champs and Chumps.
All right. I think
that since you said that it started with sports, but then it moved on to something else, that the research moved on to something else. So that leads me to think it's Ripley's Believe It or Not, which I think is still around somewhere, some places. So I'm going to say Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Is that your final answer, David Stewart?
Yes.
You better believe it. Well done, David. That was the thing, yeah. It was Robert Ripley's Believe It or Not. It started as a sports thing, and it was like, oh, can you believe he lifted 8,000 pounds? And then
he had a first name. His name was Robert. I never knew he had a first name.
Yeah, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when Ripley published the very first cartoon of Charles M. Schultz before he got the whole Peanuts gig, it was about his dog Spike, who allegedly ate pins, tacks, screws, nails, and razor blades. So Schultz did this thing about, can you believe what my dog eats? And that was like the first time he got published as a cartoonist.
Did the dog look like Snoopy?
Well, I guess it looked more like Snoopy's cousin Spike, I guess. By the way, so we now have a 4-2 game. So David Stewart has 4 points. Leslie O'Van Blake has 2. Karen, we'll get to you. But we now, so far.
One of our guests, Karen, bragged about the fact that he had a goose egg for the whole show, the whole thing. So, you know.
Well, I think that was Vince Giordano, the band leader.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Leslie Hoban Blake, the year is 1942.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't I get a question now because I stole?
Wait.
Oh, was that a steal? That was a steal. You're right. While he's doing that, I want to get my bear. I forgot to bring my bear over. You go ahead and talk.
Okay.
I have potato. Do you have your lucky?
I have a Bullwinkle.
You have your Bullwinkle.
Well,
your husband to know. But here we go. So, this next one actually goes to David Stewart, ladies and gentlemen. David, the year was 1942, December 19th. On this date, after more than 2 decades in Leavenworth, 2-time murderer and ornithologist Robert Stroud was transferred to Alcatraz, where he spent the next 17 years. You have 30 seconds in which, for half a point each, can you name 4 movies with a type of bird in the title?
Oh, okay.
What's the word bird? It's the type of bird in the title. Go.
Type of bird, but wait. Can I the word bird or a type of bird?
No, I said it cannot be the word bird. It has to be the kind of bird in the title. Go.
Okay. The Maltese falcon, the penguins of Madagascar, the penguins of Madagascar 2.
No, come on.
The sterile cuckoo with Liza Minnelli, and birds. The pelicans, Mr. Popper's penguins.
Well done. I think you did that in roughly 20 seconds. That is really nice job. I should have made that.
I got a couple more, but no.
Please.
Go ahead.
Just to hear them. Just movies with birds in the title.
Yeah.
Where Eagles Dare, The Pelican Brief.
The Falcon and the Snowman.
Good.
3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah, 3 Days of the Condor.
I have a whole list. Pink Flamingos, of course.
Yeah, Pink Flamingos, yes.
Adventures of Robin
Flamingo Kid.
Yeah.
Another yes, absolutely.
Kid,
I love the Sterile Cuckoo, by the way. That was a really
there was a
indie
play called The Waltz of the Stork. But that was
a play, though. I don't think they make a movie of that. Rooster Cogburn, that's up there. Black Swan, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of course.
Chicken Run,
Chicken Run, yes.
You had fun making that list, didn't you?
Oh, I
want to introduce you all to Chris, the Christmas bear.
Oh, how do you do?
Hello, he's very adorable. Are his eyes okay? He's suddenly wearing glasses, or what's...
He's old. He's saying no. By the way, I'm sorry, but I meant to have him out, except I spilled my coffee. I was busy cleaning.
Oh yeah, keep him clean and keep him okay.
He's fine. He's dry.
Well, they're more like John Lennon glasses than sunglasses. They're very yeah.
They're going to make fun of your glasses till I take them off. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, but now he can't see.
It looks like a mouse, right?
He doesn't look like he does look a little mouse-like.
He's a bear, for God's sakes. He's a bear. He just has a hood on.
Yeah. We're using our hive mind here.
That's okay. Wait till next week when your stockings have lumps of coal in them, then see how funny.
Call my agent. Call my agent.
Leslie, I'm Jewish. I always get a lump of coal in my stocking. I don't even get a stocking. Come on. Anyway, we have a 6-2 game. David's really racking up the points. But now, Karen Ziemba, you can still, there's still time. You
No,
can-
wait, it's my
Leslie's
turn.
turn. That was my turn. Now it's Leslie's.
I just wanted to get the bear. I didn't drop out of the game.
Sorry.
We need a fight bell.
Leslie Blake, this question is for you.
Oh, she has the live animal.
Yeah, oh,
She has a
oh,
real live
oh,
animal.
are we going to see a pet? Oh, this is so exciting.
Yeah, here's a pet.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh my
This
God.
is Gertie, and she's a rescue dog that Bill Berloni and his wife Dorothy helped find after Bullets Over Broadway. Remember, I worked with them because I was the dog lady in that show.
And what
Yeah.
kind of, say what?
This Gertie, she's a rescue. You know Bill Berloni, right?
Yeah, the animal trainer.
the dog
guy.
trainer.
Yeah.
They helped me find this little rescue. And
But what kind, do they know, is it a mutt?
I think she's a cross between, she's Heinz 57, but I think she's got, of course, some terrier in her, but with her colorings and things, I think she's maybe a Sheltie, a little bit of border collie because of the coloring, but she's a good girl. Right?
Oh, she's
Love
She gets
adorable.
some points for
How
that.
long have you had her since Bullets? Is how many years now?
We've had her for about 4 years. Yeah.
Oh, what a sweetie.
When she
Oh.
hears voices on the Zoom, she wants to be involved.
Of course.
Always is underneath my feet
The
during.
Pelican Brief.
Mm.
She
Yeah.
said Pelican Brief.
I know she,
Oh, you
yeah.
did?
Sharon
Okay.
said-
That was one of
Sharon said
mine.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But
All right, here
you
we go.
mentioned
It's-
another one with pelican. There's another one with pelicans in it. You said too, David.
Well, you said Pelican Brief 2 or something like that. That was,
No, I said the Penguins of Madagascar,
or
Penguin.
Penguin, I guess, yeah,
Penguin.
yeah.
which was on FX last night, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
I missed it somehow. I don't know how I managed.
Benedict Cumberbatch did one of the voices, so he must need
isn't
one.
there something with puffin also in the title? Puffins.
Puffin Island. I think it's called Puffin Island. You
Oh.
know, it's
Yeah.
very funny that you would say that about Benedict Cumberbatch. I have to throw this in. I was looking for stuff on Christmas Carol for the show. And 2 nights ago, there were 2 of them opposite each other. The 1999 one with Patrick Stewart, where everybody was in it before he played all the characters himself. And then there was one with Guy Pearce, which I did not know existed, from 2 years ago. And in between the 2 of those, Benedict Cumberbatch did one. So it's like,
Oh,
no, I think you're the only person who hasn't played Ebenezer Scrooge, Karen. Think about it. Think about it. It's something you might want to do at some point.
Right.
All right. Well,
Great
Leslie,
story.
thank you for that. Because one of the fun parts is not just the questions themselves, but the trivia and the fun that we have together. But
We
let's
think it's fun, Karen. You may find it horrible, but we think it's fun.
Your question, Leslie. 1955 is the year. Recorded today at Sun Studios is perhaps the first rockabilly song, Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins. In the song, the narrator mentions a lot of things his adversary can do, just don't step on his titular blue suede shoes. Which of these is not an allowable transgression in the song? This is a multiple choice. A, burn my house. B, steal my car. C, break my neck. D, step in my face. So one of these is not an allowable like you can do one of these, but don't step on the blue suede. So which of these is not an allowable transgression in the
Just
song?
repeat them one more
Again,
time, please.
Sure.
Just say them one more time.
In Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins, was the thing that's not in there A, burn my house, B, steal my car, C, break my neck, D, step in my face.
what an image.
I
Yeah.
believe, I know Steal My Car was in the song. I know that one for sure. I'm trying to run them through in my head, but they're just a mush. So I have to pick among the other 3. It's break my neck, burn my house, or step on my face. I think step on my face is also in the song. You want the one that's not. So I'm going to go between burn. I'm doing what David does. I'm giving all the answers so that if anybody else, if I get it wrong, everybody else has those things to go by. So then it's burn my house or break my neck. I'm going to say break my neck is not in the song.
Is that your final answer?
Yep, for now. That's it.
Well, Leslie, you can do anything because that is the correct answer. It was break my neck, but just for the sake of verismo or whatever the word would
Are you
be,
going to play the song?
it's not step on my face; it's step in my face, which is somehow even more horrible. So
all those things you can still survive, but if you break somebody's neck, they're dead. So it was anything that could happen to you, you could still survive.
Also,
I think those were all rhyming lines, and I don't think neck is a good rhyming line.
I was just thinking that neck doesn't rhyme with a lot, except heck.
Heck,
right,
Heck.
yeah.
Drek, but I don't think he would have thought of Drek.
Send me to heck.
You can come to my house and serve me Drek. You can, but do not break my neck. I don't know.
And then I can go to heck, and then send me to heck.
Yeah. Oh.
Go out to dinner and pay the check.
Well, actually, it would work with.
I'll pay the check. Yeah.
Pay the check.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, there are. See, we're all songwriters here too. We're all.
Pay the check.
Go listen to music and enjoy some Beck.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we have a 6-4 game. David leading Leslie by 2 points, and Karen. Though now you get your third question. I know. You only had 2 questions to answer.
I'm learning so much, though. I love this.
Great. Yeah. And by the way,
Winkle.
so great that you're being a contestant with us, and I'm glad you're enjoying this because it's wonderful having you.
Puppy.
And when all else fails, hold up your puppy again.
Right.
Get your sympathy points.
Okay, the year.
Said from a man holding Bullwinkle.
My show was canceled. Give me some points.
Where's Rocky?
If you push him forward, he looks so big.
Christo. There he is.
There. Now he looks like a giant.
I don't have them with me, but I have 2 bobbleheads, Boris and Natasha.
Oh,
They're so cute. Yeah.
Are you here in New York, Karen?
I'm sorry?
Are you here now? Are you here in New York?
Yes.
No. I think Melania Trump wants to try out for Natasha in the musical.
I don't know if she's bad enough, though.
I think Laura Benanti is going to get the role.
Yeah, well, of course.
She could just plagiarize somebody's lines in the script.
Joyce is saying she can just plagiarize the lines like she did in the intervention. Yeah. All right, here comes the next question. Now, this does go to KAREN ZIEMBA. So you love theater, you love movies too, so this could work. 1964 was the year. Released today in France is what will be the final film by Danish director Carl Theodor Dreyer. His career started in 1919, and he's best known for the 1928 masterwork that covered, very often in close-up, the life of what iconic personage? I'll read that again. 1964, this was the day in France that the last film by Danish director Carl Theodor Dreyer was released. His career started way back in 1919, but he's best known for the 1928 masterwork that covered, very often in close-up, the life of what iconic personage?
Joan of Arc.
Hmm.
Jeanne d'Arc.
Is that your final answer, though? Well, you should be feeling very light, Karen, because yes, indeed, it was Jeanne d'Arc. The film name was The Passion of Joan of Arc.
My saber, The Passion of Jeanne d'Arc. Yes.
Sorry.
You know what's interesting? That's wonderful that you got that point. What's interesting is it was one of the last silent films, of course, 1928. And Falconetti was an Italian actress who spoke she didn't speak French or any. She spoke Italian.
And she never did another movie.
And she's lucky because she didn't really have to.
Well, that's the whole point. There was nothing to say, but it was her face. You know, they wanted that peasant.
The whole movie is like.
It was marvelous.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known that. I mean, the fact that it was, somebody, this silent movie, and then of course 1964, but still, I wouldn't have known that had I not been a TCM whore.
Oh,
exactly.
I've seen that film, and I find it fascinating. Mm-hmm. It's like hard to watch after a while, but it's fascinating. And also, my neighborhood, I live right on Jeanne d'Arc Park.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful statue, which was built in 1915, which is just at the end of my block.
Just before she became a saint, or not just before, but before she became a saint.
Oh, I don't remember when did that happen? Or
In
not when she was
1920.
martyred, but wow.
Have any of you ever gone to Reims, the place where she was killed, Reims in France? There's a cathedral of Reims. Reims is spelled R-E-I-N-S, but it's pronounced France.
Oh.
And there is a life-size statue in ivory, embossed and whatnot, in the lobby or slightly inside of the church. And I thought to myself when I got there, first you burn her and then you put up a statue to her. Thank you very much. The statue itself was like, it was probably weighed a ton because it was made of ivory. And she was a tiny thing. She was under like 4'11" or something, But it made me so angry to see that statue where I saw it, where they actually done her in.
Things, they become, they were tortured on Earth, and then suddenly, let's make a statue.
Just before we move, just one thing that was the last production of Shaw's St. Joan on Broadway was very interesting. Was with Condola Rashad.
Yes.
And I went to see it at a preview, and there was this old white guy with his wife talking through the beginning of the play very loudly, and people were turning around and shushing him. And Condola Rashad comes on with Patrick Page, and they have the first scene where she's introduced. And after a couple of minutes, this old guy in front of me says in a very loud voice, "Is that black woman supposed to be Joan of Arc?"
Wow, did they burn him?
No. But it was just like, what?
Man, well, she's supposed to be dark. I mean,
Joan of Arc. Okay, I just had to get that
Theatrical license.
Yeah, I had to get that in. Yeah.
No,
You haven't gotten to the punny side. Have you gotten to the punny side of Dave Lefkowitz yet?
Yeah, no, that's actually that's right. David, we haven't heard you do your since you held up the Bullwinkle.
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
Whenever I make a really terrible pun, it's David's job to do that line from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Because Mr. Peabody would tell these terrible jokes at the end of his episode, and then Sherman would say something like, "Oh, Mr. Peabody."
Yeah.
So David, you must be an Aesop's Fable, Fable, or Fractured Fairy Tales fan.
Yes, that too.
Oh, I just think
there was a fan. Oh, look at that! Look.
Yes, Rocky and Bullwinkle and Natasha and
yes,
and Sherman and Peabody. Yeah.
Yes, and Dudley Do Right
and Dudley
and Nell, right? Yes. All right, we have a game here. We've got David with 6 points, Leslie with 4, and Karen on the board with 2. Yeah! So we have just a couple of questions left. And the next one will go
Karen, girl power.
to David Sheward. He gets our 8th question. Here we go. 1969 was the year. Ringo and George make mere cameos in this release by the Beatles, their 7th and final one of these.
Wait, say it again?
It's not a multiple choice. I'll read it again. The year was 1969.
All
Ringo and George make mere cameos in this release by the Beatles, their 7th and final one of these.
Well, it sounds like movie, but I don't know if they made 7 altogether. Let It Be, I think it's Let It Be, I think was their last movie, and that was a concert film, I think, on the roof or something. It's not Yellow Submarine or maybe, no, Yellow Submarine, they were all in it. I'm going to say, I think, and Let It Be, I believe, what was the year you're saying?
1969. So they made their final one of these on this, it was released on this date.
I'm going to say Let It Be.
I'm afraid we can't let that be.
Okay.
It is not the correct answer.
All right.
So we can have some stealage going on. Let me get to the our roll of dice.
I need to have a clarification though for Karen and myself.
Sure.
And that is when you say these, it's a little like Alex Trebek saying, and you get the wrong thing. Are we looking for a title or are we looking for a genre?
It is kind of both.
Okay.
I cannot be more specific.
Okay, fine. I just wasn't sure if it was because the way it was phrased was confusing.
So speaking of which, Leslie, you do. I rolled a
I
6.
get it.
I rolled a 6, so you can take your shot to
So
steal.
you actually hit the 6 on the nose, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So
Say again.
again, I'm sorry. 1969 was the year. Ringo and George make mere cameos in this, released by the Beatles. Their 7th and final one of these. Suddenly quiet.
No, I know because my mind is grinding and grinding, but I'm not getting any salt out of it.
What an image.
It's like the rabbi's prostate. It's
I can see.
See, I would have said album rather than or number one hit rather than the name of what it is, and that's why I asked if it was a genre or a title.
The question is very specific.
I know, I understand that. That's it's inherent in the, but. And I probably would have gone for Let It Be also because I don't remember the other two in it. At all. Okay, all right. I'm gonna say they're one real flop, and just for the hell of it, because I don't know the answer. The movie Magical Mystery Tour.
Is that your final answer, though?
Yeah, I don't really have any. I'm tapped here.
I'm afraid they won't be coming to take you away, Leslie Blake. That is not the correct answer. And so, Karen Ziemba, you get to possibly steal this question. 1969, Ringo and George make cameo appearances on this release by the Beatles. It is their 7th and final one of these.
I mean, I would just say biopic. I mean, I have no idea what the name of it would be, though, because I don't. I mean, I know all the early ones like Hard Day's Night and that kind of stuff. I don't know the but it sounds like you're talking genre, but you said if one of these. So I would just say it's not really a documentary, but I would say biopic.
Is it a biopic about the Beatles? I'm afraid this one gets the goose egg for everybody. Would it help if I said this coming week is the perfect time for it?
Think about Christmas or the holidays.
Help.
David, you're on it. You're on it.
What do they do with Christmas? Their final Christmas album? I don't know.
Yes. Every year, starting with their fan clubs, they would release a Christmas special album.
Oh,
I didn't know. The last time they did that. You never heard them? They're very weird. They're very goofy. They're very playful, and they got weirder and weirder as the Beatles got weirder.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but so that was the last time they released anything.
So you're talking about a vocal cameo, not an actual cameo, like on film. This is like just their voices singing.
Yeah, in other words, the last record is about 7 minutes long, and Ringo appears for like 15 seconds, and it's mostly John and Yoko and Paul. Yeah,
a vocal cameo.
Right.
Which is different than when I think of a cameo as an appearance.
I do plead to the judge. I do plead to the interlocutor here that actually was a very misleading question. And I know you must
Dr. Sue now.
But the word the word these, I really won because I really won that.
Count the votes.
You guys, name all the films that they've done. Of course, Hard Day's Night. Help was another.
Hard Day's Night. Help.
Magical Mystery Tour.
Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine.
Let It Be.
Let It Be. And I think Magical.
It's not really a film.
On television.
Magical Mystery Tour.
That was a TV show, wasn't it?
I saw it in the theater. I saw it in the theater.
But I think that's it, isn't it?
They didn't do 7. I think they just did 5 or 6.
I mean, Ringo Starr later did The Magic Christian, but that wasn't all of the Beatles.
Yeah. So
George Harrison did something too, didn't he?
Yeah.
George
again?
He scored Wonderwall or something like that. And John Lennon was in How I Won the War or something.
Yes, he was he?
Indeed. Yeah. He starred in it.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
You'd like that one, David. If you haven't seen it, you'd like that.
But
I
it was
should
an
have a hint
album, a
there.
Christmas album of all
That's
things. I had
interesting.
no
Wow.
idea.
Never would have,
Know
never
that.
would have gotten it. Well, it wasn't. It was a special thing for the fans. I mean, it wasn't something that,
Right.
that the
It
general
wasn't a
public
general
would get.
release, but they.
Now I have to go try to find that on eBay for my sister, who says she has everything of the Beatles, and I bet she doesn't have one
Sure,
of
should
those.
have heard of it. You can listen to them on YouTube. They're all there. You can
Oh,
actually go
okay.
listen to them.
All right.
All right, we have at least one more question before what was going to be a tiebreaker, but I don't know. I don't know. So let's see, the ninth question, that will go to Leslie. So Leslie, you can potentially tie David Sheward with this question right here. Are you ready?
We're both, Chris and I are as ready as possible. Yes.
Right. The year you'll get this. 1971.
Yeah,
was
put the
year.
whammy on me, David. Go ahead. I love
I am
it.
telling you, you'll get this. Some of the
Okay.
questions are harder than others. Released today in New York is A Clockwork Orange, based on Anthony Burgess's novel. The film's legendary director made only one other film in the 1970s. For 1 point, name the director, and for the other point, name the movie.
Stanley Kubrick is the director. 1970s would be, hang on now. I think 2001 was in the 60s. So it was probably 2010, which was the sequel to 2001.
Oh.
But I'm not sure. 71, you say?
No, I'll say it again. Leslie.
Clockwork Orange came after 2001. I know that for sure. In the same decade of the 70s. Yeah, and I now that I said that out loud, I can't think of anything else. I'm going to go for that. I know I have 1 point. I don't know if I have the other one.
So what is your second answer?
I said 2010.
Oh, you're gonna
2010.
go 2010. So, Leslie Hoban Blake, you have put another cube brick in the wall. However,
Only one.
2010, the year is not working for you. So one of our other contestants gets to steal perhaps 1 point. So let me go to our magnificent roll a die. Okay, and the number comes up 4, which is Karen's number. So Karen Ziemba, I'll read the question again, and you can maybe steal this question. 1971 was when A Clockwork Orange was released, based on Anthony Burgess's novel, but the film's legendary director, Stanley Kubrick, made only one other film in the 1970s. For 1 point, can you name that film?
It's like funny. I know his final film, that one with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, but that was recent, which I hated that film.
Everybody hated that film.
Oh,
I like Alan Cummings' part.
and also he did. This was not the 1970s, but wasn't he also the director of The Shining too? Was that his? That
I'm
was.
not allowed to help or coach or
Oh, okay.
'cause that might be the right answer actually. So
You know, I think that was done in the 80s, but I'm going to say that anyway. I'm not really sure. The Shining. I thought that was his, but I think that was later.
Yeah.
No.
well, although we've all taken a shine to Karen Ziemba, I'm afraid that is not the correct answer. So David Sheward, for
Yes.
1 point, do
Yes.
you think that you can possibly steal
Okay.
this question? What movie, director Stanley Kubrick made only 2 movies in the 1970s. One of them was A Clockwork Orange, released today in 1971. The other was what?
Barry Lyndon.
Oh.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, David, you get my Irish up. That is the correct answer.
You know how much I love that film, and I didn't remember it. I love that
And
film.
it was part of a recent Broadway show,
Really?
Barry Lyndon with what? Which?
Linda Vista.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're watching it. It's after he's broken up with his girlfriend.
yes.
He's with the new girlfriend, or he's with
Right,
both of them at
right,
the same
right.
time.
I love that play.
That was a good
I
play. I
like
like that. Yeah.
And they're watching Linda, and they're watching Barry Lyndon, and it's like, this is boring, but you know.
Yeah, that's actually, I saw it a couple years ago.
It was a bit like watching paint dry. You really had to get into the feel of it. Otherwise, it was
The
just
play,
very
Linda
long,
Vista,
very
or
dark.
Barry
No, the
Lyndon?
movie, Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon. It was lit by candlelight. I just totally forgot it.
Yeah.
You know, when you go through Kubrick's thing, he had no genre. He was all over the place. He did all kinds of films, so you
Yeah.
can't sort of plug
And
in. Very
Kurt
good.
Douglas said he was a shit, but a talented shit.
And you're talking about Kubrick or
Kubrick.
Oh, okay.
When he made Spartacus, he said this guy's a real shit, but he's a talented shit.
Yeah, I forgot that he made Spartacus. I totally forgot that he made
He directed
Spartacus. There you go.
The 60s, right?
Yeah, and
So
Paths
he
of
made
Glory was his
Spartacus
also.
and Strange Love in the same decade.
Yes, it was Spartacus, Dr.
Isn't that
Dr.
astounding that
Yeah,
you know
it
you
was-
get that out of one director?
Yeah.
Spartacus.
All right, let's do this again, David. So, Strange Love, Spartacus. 70s was
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon.
Keep going.
I think The Shining.
The Shining, and then
Full Metal Jacket.
I knew he did a war picture. I couldn't remember. Yeah,
I think Full Metal Jacket. I forget if it was before or after The Shining, and then Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut, which is the one you were talking about.
And he was going to do something like what became AI that Spielberg did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Spielberg took it over. He'd
And
done all the
Spielberg-
preliminary work.
Which is a brilliant film. I really liked it.
Can I take a left-hand turn when we were talking about Tracy Letts Play,
Mhm.
Linda Vista? What did you think of the play that just was in previews at the court? I saw one of the previews of his latest play.
I never got to see
Oh,
it.
The Minutes?
The Minutes. What'd you think of that?
I read the script, but I didn't
Oh,
see it.
It didn't open. Nobody could. The
Right.
critics
we're
couldn't
not-
get there.
I saw it in previews. I was just wondering if you could.
Yeah, we're not invited until just before it opens.
Yeah, you're special.
However, and we don't have to pay either.
Right.
Oh, yeah, go tell everybody that, David, so they're really
They
haters,
know that,
right.
Matt. It's not a secret.
What did you think about it? Yeah.
I
What
did
did you
read
think
the
about
script. I did read the script of The Minutes because I am a member of the committee of the American Theater Critics Association that awards the best play presented regionally every year. And I think it's a fascinating play. It's really weird and strange and bizarre.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to see it. It's scheduled to open in March 2022, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. They're going to do it in
We
2022.
should all live and be well.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But I thought it was a really interesting. I don't want to say too much for people who haven't seen it, but it's really weird. It's like an
Sounds like it stuck with you, Karen. Yeah. Did
like
you?
an Ionesco play mashed up with a Tracy Letts play. It's really
Really? Wow. Okay.
It's very bizarre.
I just noticed the time, and I have to be somewhere at 12. So,
Oh yeah. Well, actually, we're down to our last question.
got
which is-
I'm one of the ones who makes this thing take forever, but today I have to do something.
No, we're actually basically, yeah, David, what?
I just
And
wanted to
can
ask Karen
Karen
a
come
question.
back and play with us? Karen, can you come back and play? You're good.
I just wanted to ask Karen a question.
Yes.
In Prince of Broadway, during the curtain calls, was it in alphabetical order?
I don't believe so.
Because I noticed that it was Michael Xavier, Michael Yazbek, David Yazbek, and then you. And I thought, oh, that's weird. She got the last curtain call.
You
Is
know,
it
it's possible. It's probably because I was the oldest person.
Oh, okay. I thought it
Maybe
was,
gets the
but I
final
noticed it was,
bow.
and it was one of the few shows that has cast members XYZ.
Yeah.
So I thought that's really weird. Did
That's
they do?
possible that they did it that way because we were all kind of like on equal footing, but
Yes, and it was such a fun show to see.
Oh, we were talking about
this-
that earlier. David and I were talking about that earlier. It's just
Actually, it was Rabbi Solomon.
the chance to be part of his troupe before his passing was such a gift to me.
Yes, yeah.
Well, anyway, this has been
retrospective.
a gift to have all of you guys on Dave's Gone By playing the Today Yesterday quiz. First of all, let's tally up the figures. The winner.
Oh, we're done. There are no more questions.
There's one more question, but I know you've got to go, and I think we're good. We're good. We have a clear winner, and that winner is David Sheward with Was it 7 points to Leslie Hoban Blake's 5, and Karen got on the board with 2.
I got on the board at least. Wow.
Who gets the next question, David or myself?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Who gets the last question?
Wait, that's all right. Let's do the last question. That's great.
Dr.
And
Seuss.
everybody
I
can,
just want to play to the end, to the bitter end.
they're so competitive. All right. Here's a quick question. It's for all of you. All of you jump in, or we can do the.
Well, I can leave and then you can talk about me. You know, that's the way that goes.
Karen, do you have pen and paper near you by any chance?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, great. So what we do, just for funsies, it's the last question of the day. And what I'll do is a 3, 2, 1 countdown. You'll all write down the answer, and kind of like in Final Jeopardy, when I say go or count down, you will show your answer, and we'll see who gets it right. So when you're ready, the question is the year 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a multiple choice. In Cairo, New York, scientists are amazed to discover fossils that are 386 million years old, more than 2 million years older than the previous record for this particular artifact. What was preserved? And the choices are A,
In 2019.
Yeah, in 2019, Cairo, New York,
Okay. All right.
scientists found fossils that were 386 million years old, 2 million more older than the previous record for this kind of fossilized artifact. What was preserved? Was it A, frogs, B, dung beetles, C, jellyfish, D, trees?
That's a tough one.
So you can write down the letter or the answer. Was it frogs, dung beetles, jellyfish, trees?
You want us to hold up our answers?
I'll give a 3, 2, 1 when you're all ready.
Okay.
We all have our answers up.
Yes.
So these points, I mean, they won't change the winner of the game. Let's see them. So I see Karen with dung beetles. I see David with trees. I see Leslie Hoban Blake with frogs. And the answer is, oh my goodness, this actually makes it a tie game. If we count the points, I didn't think of that. It's David with 7 and Leslie with 7, because David, you were right, with trees. Tie game.
No, wait a
Well
minute.
done, David.
If
Coming
David
up with
was
that
right,
round.
then he gets, wait, if David was right, he gets 9. And it's not a tie game. I had frogs.
Right.
He already had 7. You just,
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
Tell Karen nobody can do math.
I mean,
Yeah.
thank you for trying. I appreciate it,
You
but
can
it
do
didn't work out
entertainment.
that way.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Does that mean I don't get a new car?
Joyce is
No,
saying
that
I'm
means you were
numerous.
right.
Yeah.
Wait, the
I'm sorry,
answer
David,
was
you're right. You
trees,
got 9.
right?
You got the
I wrote trees.
right answer was trees.
You won, you aced it by a lot.
It's a good thing this isn't Let's Make a Deal, or I wouldn't get my new car.
Yeah, well, I would make sure you got your new. You would deserve it. You all deserve the best
2
automobiles.
questions. David, are we playing next week because it's the holiday?
Here. First of all, David, here's your surprise.
Oh,
We're re-gifting something I got from work. I work in a school district, and this is what they give us for gifts. It's like, hello, a little disconnect there.
just put it up there.
Next week, are we playing or not playing? That's
We
my
are,
only
yes,
question.
we
It'll
are.
be-
More gifts coming at you. We are playing next Saturday on Dave's Gone
Okay.
By.
Okay,
Usual
I will
time,
remember that.
10:45.
It'll be the
Today
day
I wasn't
after
sure.
Christmas.
Yeah. Joyce keeps handing me things. So thank you all for being
Karen,
so
it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Likewise.
A
Oh,
joy
I
to
feel
have you.
smart now. I know.
I'm going to go and you guys can talk about me. That'll be fun. Okay.
Leslie
Leslie.
Hoban Blake.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, Leslie,
Thank you.
let's remind everybody that you can see her and our mutual friend Charlie Gross doing their weekly podcast, or is it bi-weekly, the podcast?
It's bi-weekly. I must recommend one more thing. Tomorrow, December 20th, Hershey Felder, his Tchaikovsky, our Tchaikovsky will be on.
Oh.
And we did a lovely interview with him, which will be up on Christmas. So, but it will be past the date of the show, which is tomorrow. So if anybody out there is watching and is a Hershey Felder fan, he has a whole season coming up. You know, everybody pivots and does something else. So he's living in Italy. He's living in Florence, Firenze, in a little chalet on a hill, and he's doing 5 shows.
Oh, great.
And they're full shows done on a stage, the Pergola Theater, a 400-year-old theater, and they're being shot and they're being filmed, and it's a whole new thing.
And streamed.
So And it's streamed, yeah.
Streamed.
And he's doing it half and half benefit of different theaters. Certain theaters, like the Berkshire Theater Fest and a couple of others, get half of the proceeds.
Oh, nice. No,
So,
I just hope they
really-
don't bar him. Okay, Hershey bar. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Leslie, my leg has to go.
Au revoir. I am actually going to leave now. Again, Karen, it was lovely. How do I leave this
Good to
thing?
see you guys.
You
The red
hit-
button
I
in
can
the bottom.
remove you. I can.
Oh, okay.
Bye,
Love
Leslie.
you
Thank
all.
you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye, Leslie.
Bye. Bye.
David Sheward, by the way, you can read him at thedaviddesk.com, culturalweekly.com, and theaterlife.com.
Yes, got them all. Yeah.
And now, since, David, you are surprisingly not Jewish, what are your plans for Christmas?
Surprisingly not Jewish?
I always assumed. I don't know. I just figured.
Oh, not Jewish. I thought you said not Jewish.
Well, you're not noxious. You've never been noxious. No.
I thought you said I was noxious.
No.
Well, not then. With things being what they are, my husband and I are just going to Zoom relatives, and we'll have our. We're going to Zoom relatives. We're going to,
Step in their face.
We're going to break their necks.
Are you finished
Right.
grading? Are you done grading all your students? Are you free now?
Park their cars. I have graded my students' papers. I'm going to work on. I just have a whole bunch of movies I'm a TCM fanatic, aholic like Karen, and I'm going to watch a bunch of TCM movies that I've been DVRing, and watching things like here's interesting. MeTV is going to start showing Saturday morning cartoons in January.
Ooh.
Like the old ones, like the ones from our childhood,
Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Popeye the Sailor.
Oh, the greatest.
So that's something to look forward to.
Cool. Well, I wish you certainly a very healthy and happy. You'll be with us next, I hope, on Christmas.
Yes. Oh, and I'll be counting votes too.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I'll be counting votes in the Senate.
I don't blame you. So, well, David, it's always fantastic to have you in the neighborhood and
Thank you.
doing the Today Yesterday quiz with us. And I also want to thank so much and invite you back, Karen, whenever you want to play the Today Yesterday trivia quiz. It's just been delightful to see you. I want to remind everybody that they can watch you in 2x2 Speak on Christmas Day, December 25th, 8 p.m. Benefit for the Actors Fund. Who's directing? Who's
Walter Willison, who's also playing Noah.
Walter Willison playing Noah, directing, and he co-wrote the thing, didn't he? No.
Wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah, well, yeah. So thank you for just being with us. And let's see your dog one more time, and then we'll let you go. Gotta see. Oh, she's adorable.
Yeah.
And the dog's cute too. Yeah.
Anyway, she's playing hard.
Oh, she's around.
Okay.
Anyway, Karen, thank you. Have a most wonderful, happy holiday.
Thank you.
So good to have you.
Guys, so nice to spend
Great.
time with you.
Great to see
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for being on Dave's Gone By.